Hello, and welcome to the official video for Stevie Biffin's Flying Squirrel School. We've started our own aviation program for squirrels. It's magical. So flying squirrels are adorable, but I'm going to take a new take on that particular idea in this video. So I'm basically just going to paint the whole background, and then we're going to talk about the joys of glazing. So I do not really glaze in my work a lot, and I am seeing the error of my ways, mostly because I watched a few YouTube videos and glazing is so pretty. And I normally glaze like where you will do the solid color like I'm doing here, and then you let it dry. But I found someone who does an amazing technique where they then add water, which is what I'm doing now. I'm adding completely clear water to this balloon, and then I'm just leaving it, which is the first problem with glazing and me, because I can't just leave things. I'm so impatient. Slow motion magic. It's beautiful. I love that. That's my favorite part about watercolor, is adding a bit of paint into water and then just watching it like, oh, there we go. Just beautiful. Anyway, adding color to the edge makes it really interesting and makes it more vibrant. But basically, you just add your paint and add clear water to the paint. And then you dry your brush and you pull the paint out. And you'll see that what's really, really important is that you leave it for a bit before you do this, so that the outer edge can get that nice crisp line that you get from having a lot of water in watercolor, but so that it's not so dry that it dries and starts giving you blooms. And it's it's not an advanced technique, but it just requires a lot of advanced attention from me, because I have the attention span of a squirrel, and I can't. I can't. I'm like, ooh, we're gonna add this, we're gonna glaze, it's gonna be amazing, and then like 3 seconds later, I'm like, why are you not dry yet? So yeah, but it's fine. We learned a thing. We got some self-control, and I'm very proud of how this piece came out in the end, given my particular attention span deficits. But I really enjoyed it. And the paper that I used is actually 25% from, you can actually see me there getting really excited because it got dry. But anyway, the paper is from Fabriano, and it's 25% cotton, and that was really nice because it allowed me to do this lifting technique a lot of times without the paper falling to pieces. So I don't know how well this technique would work on other papers, but I do know that on some cellulose papers, the actual outlines of the balloons that we got so nicely here would maybe lift. So it is something to consider before you start making the final artwork, to think about like if your paper can handle it and if your paper will behave well, because it might not be you. Normally it's totally me. Normally it's totally my fault because I'm impatient, which is why I made such a big deal of feeling my paper and being like, ooh, the paper is not cold. Well, this means that it is perfectly dry and ready for the next layer. And I think it's a really cool tip, because especially with glazing, if the paper is not 100% dry, i.e. when you touch it, it is not 100% body temperature or room temperature, it's going to make a mess, because you want these crisp lines to stay there. And I was just really proud of myself, because I think it's the first painting I've actually done where it's actually come out like how I imagined it to be, that involved glazing, because of our previous issues. So it's good. We're working through our differences and we can be friends, and that's really fun. I'm also working through my differences with these brushes, which are actually bamboo brushes, and I'm normally not really good with them because I don't know, there's just something about the more coarse brushes that I just really struggle with. But I really wanted to use them because I've seen other artists on YouTube use them just so effectively and so expressively. And I really want to try and make more expressive, I don't know, I suppose less controlled, but I don't know if that's really what I actually want. But in my brain, it's what I want, is less controlled paintings, that where I'm more open to watercolor doing whatever it wants to do, which I guess is more open to watercolor being itself. And maybe that's when real love begins, you know, is when you can let go of what expectations you have of something and let it be as it is and love it regardless. Okay, so now we're going to talk about this character's creation, because I started off thinking, okay, I'm going to do flowers. And then I was like, firstly, I've done so many flowers in the last 2 weeks. I am kind of a little bit done with them because I've just been making so many flowers for the charity thing that I mentioned in another video. And I was like, okay, I don't know. I'm kind of done. And also the flowers are they're beautiful, but I didn't feel like a deep spiritual connection with it. And I'm thinking, okay, what else can I do with glazing? And then I thought, balloons would look so cool. And then I was just going to do some balloons. And I was like, okay. And I'm like, okay, so what's going to be holding the balloons? And then I was like, okay, maybe a kid, a clown. I don't know. That's kind of creepy and scary, and I don't want to. Then I was like, how cool would it be if the balloons were holding something instead of something holding the balloons? And I was like, flying squirrel. I don't know why my brain went there, but it did. And it was really fun and really exciting. And that's how we got to this flying squirrel. And then I thought, okay, but why is a squirrel using balloons? I mean, it makes sense because it's cute, but it really doesn't make sense. And I thought, okay, well, maybe it's an adventurous squirrel, And I'm like, okay, so what would it be using these balloons for? And I thought, what if the squirrel is maybe he's really smart and he's a little bit of a scientist, but he's not really very fit. So how would he get his advantage when it came fall to save all those nuts? And I was like, okay, well, what if that's why he was flying? He's flying so that he can get a bird's eye view on all the best nuts and the areas where the other squirrels can't get to, because flying is much faster than running. And I was like, okay, that's great. So I was like, okay, we're gonna do this, and he's gonna have a set of binoculars. And I thought, no, let's do old school. He's gonna have a telescope. And I thought, okay, cool, that's great. Well, now what? But how's he gonna get down? I mean, he can't just fly up there forever. And then I was like, okay, no, he'll need a little piercing device, like a little sword. And I was like, but why don't we give him a needle, because that's like a squirrel sword, isn't it? And it kind of went on, and then I realized that the squirrel would be pretty profitable. He would be quite a rich, wealthy squirrel in squirrel terms, And I'd just been watching a video about how in the origin story of Puss in Boots, the reason that Le Puss has les boots is because it was supposed to be a wealthy cat. And in ye olden days, boots were handmade and were very, very expensive. So in order to own boots, you had to be quite wealthy, because only the really wealthy people could afford to have something that was artisanal. And I thought, okay, that's cool. Okay, this squirrel's gonna have boots, because this squirrel is pioneering. And then I thought, you know what? Let's go with that. And somehow at the very end, I thought, okay, I love the idea of a windsock. So the squirrel is getting a windsock as well. And there we go. There was my piece. That was my thought process. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. And I hope that you have a really, really cool week, guys. Cool. Like, subscribe, do all the things, stalk me all the ways. Okay, love you. Bye.